Hey, I hope everyone is having a great day. I just wanted to make a video about my most recent trip to Nepal and how it didn't go quite as planned.
A lot of bikes.
Lot of bikes, yeah. Lot of bikes, scooter.
After trekking to Everest Base Camp in 2023, this was my second time in Nepal, and I was there this time planning to trek the Annapurna Circuit. But as I said, things didn't go quite as planned, and I ended up spending most of my time in Pokhara. But as always, this trip started in Kathmandu, where I got some much needed rest after a long flight from Michigan. I got to meet up with some old friends from Nepal that I met on my last trip, and I also met my new trekking group from the Philippines. We planned the coming days over dinner, laughing and talking about our lives back home. The next day, we would leave Kathmandu and start what would be a long 2-day road trip into the mountains. This isn't the usual way people start the Annapurna Circuit. We were skipping almost 2 full days of trekking to save time. The views along the way of the emerging Himalayas are absolutely stunning. However, I can't overstate it enough. Traveling by road in Nepal is long and bumpy. This is where I started getting really bad motion sickness and couldn't keep food down. In the end, trying to save time with extra van and jeep rides ended up backfiring for me. After a long 2-day journey, we finally started trekking in Manang, the heart of the Annapurnas. Even though I felt absolutely terrible and was dealing with constant nausea and vomiting, the place itself was incredible, sitting right below some of the most well-known Himalayan peaks in the world. After acclimating here for 1 day, it had been 3 straight days of constant nausea and not being able to keep food down, and I knew I had to make a hard decision. After seeing the last nurse on the circuit and only feeling worse, I made the decision to turn back and start over in Pokhara. I was really bummed out about not completing the circuit, but I still felt lucky and blessed to be able to see the Annapurnas in clear weather and take it all in. On the jeep ride back to Besasar before heading to Pokhara, I had time to reflect on what had just happened. Things weren't going as I had planned, but the trip wasn't over. After a couple more days of road travel, with some rest in between, I finally made it to Pokhara. I had a hotel there for a few days, so it felt great to finally slow down and take things in at my own pace. After days of not being able to eat, I ended up finding a KFC in town. I didn't expect to see that in Nepal, but it was familiar food, and I was finally able to eat and get some energy back. I spent time walking around the streets. There's shops everywhere, tangled electrical lines overhead, all leading back down toward the lakeside where people were out walking and hanging around. Here is where I met some locals, Jamuna and Luna, who ended up showing me parts of Pokhara I probably wouldn't have found on my own. First place they took me was Pumdikat. It has great views of Pokhara, the foothills, and the surrounding Himalayas. It is also home to a massive Lord Shiva statue that's really impressive to see in person. We stayed there until the evening and watched the city lights glow below us. While the clouds partially covered the Himalayan peaks, the evening was still magical and totally worth the visit. The next morning, I got up early to catch a taxi to Sorongkat for sunrise. This time there were no clouds, and I got clear views of the Himalayan range. To be honest, I was in awe. As they say, photos don't do it justice. Especially after a cloudy forecast the day before, I knew that seeing these peaks were not guaranteed. I felt truly blessed for this morning. It was peaceful and calm and everything I had hoped for. The Himalayas truly are unbelievably magnificent. Later that day, I joined up with Jamuna to go to Pame. It's a quiet local spot with fields, water buffalo, and wide open space along the lakeside. I had never even heard of this place before, but it felt like a scene straight out of National Geographic. We caught it at sunset, and it ended up being one of my favorite moments of the trip. That night, I walked around Pokhara after dark. There were a lot of people out, motorbikes everywhere, places to eat, bars, clubs, if that's your thing. I just wandered around and took it all in. The next morning, I went to Kahun Danda to try to get another angle of the Himalayas. The clouds were covering most of them, more than ever before during my attempts to see them, but it was still a nice, quiet way to start the day. And here you can just barely see Machu Picchu peeking out through the clouds. One thing I learned about Pokhara is how many lookouts there are overlooking the city with the Himalayas behind it. Weather is always a factor though. I had days with clear skies and days where the clouds had other plans. It's a great place for backpackers and people who want to see some of the world's tallest mountains. Later, I checked out Devi's Fall, which is right inside the city and easy to get to. If you're in Pokhara, it's definitely worth a quick stop.
More people in the
I met back up with Jamuna and Luna, and we spent some time walking around the park near the lakeside. It's a laid-back spot where people play sports, fish, canoe, or just hang out. Pokhara ended up being a really great surprise. It felt like a place I needed after everything that happened in the mountains. On my last night, Jamuna and Luna took me out to eat, and saying goodbye was a little bittersweet. This trip didn't go the way I planned, but I still got way more out of it than I expected. I still had another week and a half left in Nepal after this, and there's more to come. But Pokhara is a place I won't forget. It's the place that made this trip worth it for me. The people that I met, the culture that I experienced, and the surrounding Himalayas that I saw. I don't know when I'll be back to Nepal, but if I ever had a place to call home here, Pokhara would be it.